Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today I have a review on some brand new paints that I ordered, and I've actually played with them a bit and did a painting with them, and I'm really excited to share them with you today. I purchased these on Amazon, and oops, I just flung my little band over across the room. I'm not an Amazon affiliate or anything, but I had been asked a lot from you guys about Mission Gold watercolors and if I would test them out or try them. And I had signed up for a sample on their website a couple months ago, but I never received anything. So I was looking around at the different art supply stores that I shop from. I was checking out Jerry's, Artorama, and Blick, and Cheap Joe's, and these paints were just so expensive. But the reviews are really good on them. And then somebody told me they had some really cheap sets on Amazon. I went to Amazon, and the set that pretty much everyone was getting was a set of 36 5ml tubes with a palette for like $57. But there was a lot of mixes in that set, a lot of like not pure colors. But then I found out that there was a pure pigment set, so I decided that I would purchase this. And this was on Amazon for $86. And it comes in the larger tubes, the 15ml tubes, and I think the 36 set is either 5ml tubes or 7ml tubes. So there's either 2 times or 3 times the amount of paint in these tubes here. So you get 24 pure pigment colors that are 15ml big, plus they give you 2 7ml tubes of just the black and white. Alright, so my the first thing I did actually when I got these was kind of open them up and have a look, and the packaging feels really high-end. I'm going to keep this little band that came around the box just because it's got a nice little like kind of bookmark-sized color swatch, so I know the names and numbers. And it also came with a brochure. It came with this thing. I'm not exactly sure what this is for. It was just kind of sitting on top. I don't know. It probably has a use. If anybody knows what the use is, just please let me know in the comments below. So the first thing I did was I looked at the colors that I had, because this set contains colors from the A range all the way through the E range, pretty much your entire range. And if you purchase high quality watercolors, you'll notice that like different colors cost different amounts of money. And when you're in the student lines, a lot of times the paints will cost the same across the board. But as you get into the artist pigments, the rarer and more expensive the mineral is that they use to make the pigment, the more expensive your paint is. So you're really getting what you pay for. So there were paints in all these different series. There were 4 Series A paints, which retail for $14.99 per tube. There were 6 Series B paints that retailed for $18.99 per tube. There was 5 Series C paints that retailed for $21.99 a tube. 3 D Series paints that retailed for $25.99 a tube, a 15ml tube. We're comparing apples to apples here. And there were 6 Series E colors that were $29.99 a tube. So I did the math, and if I was, and not counting the black and the white, which were like free gifts with purchase, just those 24 colors would have cost $541.76 if I was to buy each tube individually and pay full price. And so then I also compared what like the sale prices were at like Blick and Jerry's, and even if I got all these at those sites on sale, they would still cost, this set here would still cost $334. So I really feel like I got a good value here paying $86 for it. So of course it's, you know, it's one thing to get a good deal, but you also want to make sure you're actually getting good paint. So the first thing I did was I swatched out my colors. I put them in this little palette here, because this is what I had. Actually, I just kind of put like little lentil-sized squirts in here just so I could try it out. I would like to purchase a Stephen Quiller palette, which is it's a square palette, but within the square palette there is a circle with divided wells, so you can arrange your paints in a color wheel type fashion. And I've always wanted one, and I've never bought one. So that's what I'm probably going to purchase for this. But for right now, I have this arranged in the same format that I gridded it out in, just so that I would know exactly what color was what. So looking at these colors, since my favorite color is red, and I primarily paint like still lifes and flowers and whatnot, I like the assortment of reds here. It may be more reds than like what a landscape painter would want, so that's just one thing to kind of consider. If you're considering this set and you're a landscape painter, you might end up with more reds than you would use. I don't know, I don't do that many landscapes, but when I do, I don't use that much of these colors. I'm using more blues and greens. There are 4 nice blues in here. The ultramarine has a beautiful granulation that I like. The cobalt has slight granulation, it's pretty. The cerulean honestly looks like a phthalo blue to me. And when I think of cerulean, I think almost like of a softer aqua color. But you could probably use the Chinese white that comes in the kit to make that more like a traditional cerulean if you wanted to. The white here, I did a little swatch of Copic marker in black, and then I painted the black and white over it here. And the white, I mean, I went over it really thickly, and it's still very translucent. So it'd be more of like, I think it'd be more of like a filler or an extender if you wanted to soften the color of one of your pigments, but I don't think it will give you that opacity that a gouache would have. Although on the website they say that you can use the white to turn your paints into a gouache. I don't know if that's the case because that white is not very opaque. And the black is pretty flat looking, just like most tube black. It's an ivory black. I would probably just use that for tonal studies, just if you're trying to work out some values, doing some practicing that way. But then again, those are kind of the 2 free gifts with purchase. They don't really count that as the 24 set. These would be like 25, 26 colors. So yeah, I really like the blues. The greens here, I'm not a big fan of those 2 greens, but they're really great bases. They are single pigment, so they're great to mix with other things to get some greens. And we'll do a little mixing here. And I just want to, I feel like these 3 browns, they're beautiful, but they're all very similar. I think I would much rather have had like a burnt umber. Although the Van Dyke brown is, I usually don't care for Van Dyke brown because it's usually a little too gray. That almost looks like a burnt umber to me, and that you could mix with your ultramarine and get some interesting grays as well. But let's just do a little mixing while we talk. That way you can kind of see what I mean. So they also included in their pamphlet little recipes. The pamphlet's in Korean, but they do have the English names in here, and they do have their recipes for like their some of their other colors or colors you might want to mix, colors that you've seen in their other sets that are mixes. So that's really handy if you were kind of debating between the 36 set that's cheaper because the tubes are smaller, or this set. I really don't think you're going to go wrong, because as you'll see when we're mixing the colors, even if you get 3 and 4 colors in there, it's not really making mud. So this is green gold. It's a really nice color. If I put it with the bamboo, I get a really lovely lovely green there. I don't know if I'd call it quite a sap because it feels a little vibrant. I think I would almost want to add a little bit of a red to it to kind of make it a little earthier. But even when I'm adding that brown to that brownish red, that perylene maroon, it's still not like muddying it. It's lessening the intensity, but it's still, you know, such a pretty color. I'm just using some cheap paper, the backside of like another color swatch. But we can make some really nice violets. If I use the permanent magenta here, it's just so, it's almost like opera. It's very, it's extremely vivid. And if I grab a little bit of ultramarine, because that's more of like that's close to purple on the color wheel if you were to look at it. Whoops, I need to get a little bit more on there. And I don't know how hard this paint's going to dry in the palette. I might have to spritz it with water before I use it, but that makes a nice violet color. You can also, of course, do your greens like the cerulean. Because it's so much like a phthalo, you could do some really nice greens. A super vivid one would be to go with this lemon yellow. I like this lemon. It doesn't look like it's nickel based. Sometimes you get those lemons and they're almost grayish, greenish yellow looking. I think it's because of the nickel that's in them, but that gives you a nice vivid green. Try some of this permanent yellow light if you want a more opaque green. You can try a little bit of this yellow in there. And look, I'm mixing all these colors and I'm not getting mud, but I am getting some really rich colors there. If you wanted kind of a deader green, you could go with your ultramarine and your lemon. That will give you a less vibrant green. You know, the further you get those yellow and blues away from each other on the color wheel, the less intense that color is going to be. So you can, you know, really, like, this would be great for evergreens that are in the distance. So you can make tons of greens. You can make tons of lots of colors. Like if I wanted to make a nice orange, there is the red orange, which is fairly orange on its own. But I could take the Permanent Yellow Deep, which is very similar to a Cad Yellow Medium or Cad Yellow Deep. And if I took a little bit of this as Scarlet, super, super vibrant. And it's a different tone than the red orange that's there. It just gives you a different tone. I'm going to get a little more yellow in there. And I think it gives you a more vibrant orange, a warmer, fierier orange. You know, there's just so many ways you could play with color here. I'm really pleased with this set. Let's see, we've got those three, we've got our three complementary colors there. Let's see what Prussian blue does for a purple. I think it'll make us kind of like a deader purple. I like that Prussian blue though, I have to say. I'm usually not a huge fan of Prussian blue, but I do like that. Sometimes I like to do a blue. Oh, now look how rich that violet is with the magenta and the Prussian blue. That is super dark. Look at that. I'm gonna add a little water to that. Isn't that pretty? But yeah, I mean, you can keep mixing colors, and let's add some permanent rose to that. See, I mean, we can keep adding colors without lessening the intensity. So, you know, what this makes me think really is that I think this is a fabulous deal, but still, 86 bucks is a lot of money. I do think this is more than worth it, but if you were looking at the other set that Amazon has, and I'm not an Amazon affiliate, so if you have a friend or another YouTuber that you love that's an Amazon affiliate, click through their link so they get credit. It doesn't matter to me at all. I think that even if you got like the 36 set that came with the folding palette that a lot of people are getting right now, just seeing how I can put, you know, 4 colors together and it doesn't turn to mud, I think you'd be all right to get that set, have 36 colors already mixed, and have a beautiful palette for $57 if you wanted to save 30 bucks. Ounce for ounce, it's still cheaper to get that 36 set, I believe. But it just depends on whether you want to buy the pure pigments or not. I decided I wanted the pure pigments. I might even get the other set too, just because it's handy. It would be handy to have a tube of sap green and some of those other colors. I don't know. I don't need it, so I probably won't. But I'm really pleased with this. I give it a really, really high rating. Thumbs up. They're as nice as any artist paints I have. They're as nice as the M Grams, I think. I'm just wondering how they seem to dry out a little harder, so I would recommend that you give this a spritz of water before you begin painting, just because I squirted these out 2 days ago and they're already, like the ultramarine, I had to add water to it and kind of work it a little bit to get it out. Not a lot, nothing crazy, but just to let you know. Also, it does not take much pigment to get this much color. I mean, I just have to pretty much tickle the edge of that pan of color and it just leaps off the brush. So, I mean, when I did these swatches, I used my my brushes here, my Mimic brushes, which are super absorbent, so I would get plenty of water and it wouldn't kind of like overestimate how strong the pigments are. Like if you use a synthetic brush and the paint's fresh out of the tube, you could pick up way more paint and it could look a lot brighter than it really is, because you're taking up more paint than you typically would from a dry cake of color. So that's why I wanted to do these swatches like that, just to make sure that I was getting a really accurate representation of what the colors were going to look like if you're working from a dry palette. And I am so thrilled. I am so glad I spent the money on these, even though, you know, it was a great deal. I'm still very happy. Right over here I have a few strips of my M Gram, just because I was working out some colors before my live stream last week. And you can see, I mean, these are my M Gram colors. You know, those are definitely nice and vivid, like my M Grams. They're, of course, not the same exact colors because I was using my other palette, but you could see value-wise, intensity-wise, they're certainly on par. And this is a painting that I did with these Mission Gold paints. I will post a tutorial on this tomorrow, which will be Monday, the 18th, I believe, 2016, on my YouTube channel. So check that out if you're interested in seeing how these paints go on. This is my first time playing with them, and I'm so thrilled with the quality. I am not sponsored by them. I was not given this paint. I bought it with my own money. This is my honest opinion, as always. And if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them below. If you have any opinions to share, if you have the 36 set of Mission Gold paints and you want to share your opinion on that set with us, please leave that in the comments below, because that will really help the community out and help people decide if they're trying to pick between a couple different sets. And I was really surprised at the difference in price between Jerry's Autorama and Dick Blick, and I'm not sure if they were on Cheap Joe's. I didn't check Cheap Joe's, but I was so surprised at the difference in price between the art shops I typically shop at and Amazon, because I don't usually buy paint from Amazon because you're usually more expensive than Jerry's. So I mean, I don't know. These actually were shipped to me from Korea. They came, I couldn't believe they came. I ordered them Sunday night and I had them in my hands on Wednesday, and they came from Seoul, Korea. So probably because they're selling them directly from the factory, I'm not sure. But I bought them through Amazon, so I didn't expect them to come from overseas. I expected them to come from some Amazon warehouse, but there you have it. And again, I just want to reiterate, this is the Pure Pigment set, 24 colors. I believe they only have 24 colors that are pure pigments. All the other ones are mixes. So I just figured, value-wise, to have kind of the raw ingredients and mix my own would be the best bang for my buck. If you prefer to have smaller amounts of paint because maybe you don't paint as much, or you don't need as much, then you know, you could go for the 36 set, save some money, and have smaller tubes of paint to contend with. Either way, I don't think you're going to be disappointed. I'm really happy with these paints. I'm glad I bought them, and I think that you guys will like them too. But there you go. I want to thank you so much for watching today. Please give me a thumbs up if you found this review helpful, and stick around tomorrow. I'll share this tutorial with you. Thanks for watching. Until next time, happy crafting.